The election results on November 5th surprised many Americans, while others saw it coming. However, the more intriguing question is not just how Trump won, but what led to the Democrats' failure in this election. At Decipher magazine, we're exploring the factors behind the surprising results of the 2024 U.S. elections. Stay tuned for our in-depth analysis. The primary factor, we believe, is that the Democratic Party lost its grip and control over mainstream media. With the rise of podcasts and social media channels, many Americans have turned to these alternative sources for information. This shift has diluted the influence of traditional media outlets, allowing diverse voices and perspectives to reach a broader audience. Consequently, the Democratic Party's message struggled to dominate the narrative as it once did, leading to a significant impact on their campaign's effectiveness. Another issue that has tarnished the Democrats' reputation regarding media and information dissemination is their pro-censorship stance. Legacy media, politicians, pundits, and even celebrities have called for censoring voices that don't align with the Democratic narrative. Watch as these Democrats vote to censor Robert Kennedy Jr. from testifying in a public hearing on widespread censorship in America back in 2023.
Ms. Wasserman Schultz.
No to allowing a witness to degrade and defame others
time.
and violate the rules and not have his testimony and degradation amplified rather than given an executive session.
Ms. Wasserman Schultz votes no. Mr. Connolly.
No to the Soviet Politburo.
Mr. Connolly votes no. Mr. Garamendi.
No.
Mr. Garamendi votes no. Mr. Allred. Ms. Garcia.
No.
Ms. Garcia votes no. Mr. Goldman.
No to hate speech.
Mr. Goldman votes no.
Jeez.
A notable example is when then-Senator Harris urged Twitter to censor Trump's account.
I frankly think that based on this and all we've seen him do before, including attacking members of Congress, that he frankly his Twitter account should be suspended. I think there is plenty of now evidence to suggest that he is irresponsible with his words in a way that could result in harm to other people. And so the privilege of using those words in that way should probably be taken from him.
When the platform eventually did so, it sparked significant backlash, even from concerned world leaders like Angela Merkel of Germany. This move was seen as an overreach and raised serious concerns about freedom of speech and the role of social media in public discourse. The perception of censorship has contributed to a growing distrust in how information is managed and shared by those in power. Another significant factor that contributed to the Democrats' loss in the election was the decision to force a sitting president, Joe Biden, to abandon his campaign and bring in Vice President Kamala Harris as his replacement. Biden was effectively pushed out of the race, and Harris was appointed to replace him without going through the primary process. Nancy Pelosi claimed that the Democratic Party didn't have time to hold primaries after Biden halted his re-election campaign, which she suggested contributed to Harris's loss. However, in another interview, she stated that they did hold open primaries and that Harris won them.
But Pelosi, in this interview with the New York Times, said, quote, had the president gotten out sooner, there may have been other candidates in the race. The anticipation was that if the president were to step aside, that there would be an open primary. And as I say, Kamala may have, I think she would have done well in that and been stronger going forward. She added, but we don't know that didn't happen. We live with what happened, and because the president endorsed Kamala Harris immediately, that really made it almost impossible to have a primary at that time. If it had been much earlier, it would have been different.
You had reportedly said you wanted a sort of an open primary if Joe Biden stepped down. Did you change your mind because you saw all the excitement around Kamala Harris?
No, I didn't change my mind. We had an open primary and she won it. Nobody else got in the race because she was politically astute. And
This move highlighted the authoritarian tendencies within the Democratic Party, bypassing the choice of their electors and broader voter base. The lack of a democratic process in selecting the candidate alienated many voters and raised concerns about the party's commitment to democratic principles. The Democratic Party's desire to control the masses through fear-mongering and labeling opponents as racists and Nazis, coupled with Biden's garbage comment, has made it challenging to discern a reasonable political aspiration within the party. Moreover, Democrats who once criticized others for spreading lies and hoaxes have themselves been accused of dishonesty. The CNN has reported about the Kamala headquarters account, saying that this account, which has more than 1.3 million followers on the X social media platform, formerly known as Twitter, has made a habit of misleadingly clipping and inaccurately captioning video clips to attack former President Donald Trump. The Harris campaign deploys the Kamala headquarters account as a kind of irreverent attack dog, using jocular posts to draw attention to controversial, incorrect, or dubious comments by Trump and his allies. But the account, which the Harris campaign calls its official rapid response page, has itself made inaccurate comments on multiple occasions. This perceived hypocrisy has further eroded trust and credibility, making it difficult for the party to present a unified and compelling vision for the future. Another significant reason why the Democrats lost in these unprecedented and historic elections is their perceived weaponization of government apparatus against the American people. High-profile figures like Donald Trump and others have faced prosecution and charges that many believe were motivated by political gains rather than justice. The perception that the justice system is being used as a tool for political retribution has further eroded confidence in the Democratic Party, contributing to their electoral defeat. The rise of anti-Semitism within the Democratic Party, both among its politicians and at the public level, has significantly widened the gap between the party's message of support for Jewish communities and their historical homeland and their actions within the United States. This troubling trend has been particularly evident in universities and colleges across the country, where anti-Semitic rhetoric has been allowed to flourish. Democratic politicians have faced criticism for not doing enough to combat this issue, leading to a perception that the party is no longer as staunchly pro-Jewish and pro-Israel as it once was. This perception has been exacerbated by the fact that Israel faced its largest massacre since World War II on October 7th. The failure to address and condemn anti-Semitism decisively has further damaged the trust and support among key constituencies. Another factor is imposing Obamism on the American people. Barack Obama is frequently hailed as a transformative figure in American politics, but a closer examination reveals a presidency marked by controversy and division. While he has tirelessly campaigned for Democratic candidates, his legacy is far from unblemished. This so-called Obamism has not only tarnished America's reputation abroad, but has also sown deep divisions at home, pitting Americans against one another in a climate of distrust and resentment. Obama's legacy serves as a reminder of the pitfalls of a presidency that prioritized political maneuvering over genuine leadership.
Where does Barack Obama rank in your mind, you who know so much history, among the worst American presidents?
He has displaced Jimmy Carter from that position.
The worst?
The worst.
Worse than James Buchanan?
Yes.
Worse than Richard Nixon?
Yes.
All right.
Richard Nixon did not, after all, put us in danger of nuclear attacks, probably within the lifetime of people living today.
The Iran deal will do that?
Yes.
All right.
We're committed to stopping the Israelis from stopping the Iranians from getting a nuclear weapon. That's part of the deal.
His administration's foreign policy decisions, particularly in the Middle East, have had disastrous consequences. The intervention in Libya, for instance, not only destabilized the region, but also led to a power vacuum that has fueled chaos and violence. Furthermore, his decision to withdraw thousands of U.S. soldiers from Iraq in 2011 without a comprehensive and strategic plan has been widely criticized for creating a significant power vacuum in the region. This vacuum not only destabilized the fragile political landscape of Iraq, but also paved the way for the emergence of ISIS, one of the most brutal and notorious terrorist organizations in modern history.
The administration tried today to control the damage the president did yesterday when he seemed to imply he had no plan for confronting the threat from the Islamic terror group known variously as ISIS and ISIL. Major Garrett is at the White House.
The White House said today President Obama was being candid when he said this about defeating ISIS in Syria.
But I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We don't have a strategy yet.
While there are numerous factors that contributed to the Democrats' loss, the analysts at Decipher magazine have identified these as the most prominent reasons. Thank you for watching Decipher magazine. Please follow us on Facebook and YouTube.